My name is Greg Searle. I was an Olympic rower and I went to the Games back in the 90s when Team GB weren't so successful. In fact, I was there in 96 when all of Team GB got 1 gold medal, and I came back for London 2012 when we achieved 29 gold medals. And I think I've got quite a decent understanding of what shift went on from that team that was disparate and siloed, not working well together, lots of short-term focus, to the one we got in 2012, where we got massive performance. We worked very differently together. We collaborated across sports. I think we had a long-term view, and we had a real purpose, which I loved and bought into, which was to inspire a generation. So I wanted to come back and be part of those 2012 Olympics. I did get to do that. I did get to compete with my children watching. And so I guess I now see myself as the work I do around that brand of Greg Searle 2040, to try and understand what is it that I had when I was younger, which was this enthusiasm and growth mindset of a 20-year-old, and then what is it I had at 40, which was the wisdom and the ability to actually realize the best way to perform is to get the best out of all the other people around you. I think it's really important to have a really good line of sight between the vision and the purpose of why we're doing something, and then breaking it down into manageable pieces about what it is we're trying to achieve, and then thinking what are the day-to-day actions we put in place in order to deliver that. So I guess it's a lot of words beginning with W, but I guess when we can perform at our best, we're clear on where we are, we're comfortable with where we are and who we're with. Then we figure out what it is we're going to do and turning that into bite-sized pieces. And then we start to think, well, why are we doing this? What's this mean to us? And ultimately that aligns to who we are as people. And I guess I got to experience that at times when I was with teammates, my brother at the Olympics, which couldn't have been closer to me, training at a club I knew well, doing a training program I bought into with a coach that I really cared for and really looked after me. And that got my best performance, compared to being an environment where I found myself in a new club with new colleagues who I didn't have the same relationship with, being asked to work in a way which I didn't buy into in the same way, not having a relationship with a coach who really engaged me and asked me questions and I felt treated me as well as I'd like to be treated, and I didn't buy into it. And in this situation, I ended up underperforming. So I guess what I can notice is when we're really clear with a line of sight between our why, and for me, the why in London was to inspire a generation that was so powerful, to then figure out what really mattered to me. I was a father, I wanted to perform in front of my own kids, and then figure out what I needed to do. I could do the sport of rowing, I had the ability to do it, and I hoped I could be a good role model to my teammates around me. Then I had that line of sight perfectly between that why, what, and how, and then I think I delivered at my best. I think an ability to unlearn is something which is very hard to do, and I think it probably requires us to get over our ego, because most of the time we think what we're doing is quite good and quite accurate and works well for us. And it's often hard to think, what is it that's going to take for us to actually stop and say maybe what we're doing isn't right, and it's some kind of feedback that encourages us to unlearn. I guess the question is, how big does the feedback need to be? In my case, it meant I had to come fourth at the Olympic Games and feel really disappointed with what I'd done for me to be able to take a step back, look in the mirror, and actually figure out what could I do differently to go to a higher level. I think with the work that I do now, I'm trying to encourage people to realize what are we doing well, but maybe what might we need to change now to unlearn before we get to a position of actually losing, so we can recognize where we are, change direction, and then take ourselves to a new place. But that does require us, I think, to get over our ego and to realize there's no point being quite so hard and strong in our views, but to be a little bit more sponge-like and ready to learn and go forward. When it comes time to performance, I think it's really nice to focus in and say, if we want to achieve something that's amazing, then what are the inputs we're going to put in to achieve something amazing? So I remember sitting down with my crew, and it was about 100 days before the Olympic Games, and we decided we wanted to be gold medalists. So then we said, well, if we're going to be gold medalists in 100 days, that's not going to happen on the day. We've got to put in place gold medal behaviour each and every day. And so then we thought, well, what does gold medal behaviour look like? And I guess it became making each day a masterpiece. So that would mean, well, what does that look like? Well, I guess if we get up at the right time, we show up, we prepare properly, we're on time, we're ahead of the game, we listen to our briefing, and I guess clear going into our workday what it is we're looking to achieve. Then we give our best when we're training and practicing. Then afterwards we would come in, and even if I was rowing with my brother, and anyone who's got a sibling might know what it's like to give and receive feedback from a sibling, we would come together after the training session, we'd remove our sunglasses and look each other in the eye and say, what is it that we did that was helpful today? And maybe what could we do differently to be more helpful for the next session that we do? We'd have that conversation. Sometimes it would be quite robust and be a proper conversation about what we need to do differently. But then we'd have the conversation, realize it's all in an attempt to get us to our ultimate goal, to our purpose. And once it was done, we could almost flick the switch, go back to being two brothers, put that away, and then go and enjoy ourselves and relax. And I think the best teams can do that and realize when a day is going to be a masterpiece, you're really clear on what you're looking to achieve, you work as hard as you can doing it, then you feed back on it, and then you put it to bed and move on.